This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
You're now in the Essential Zone, where we seek to be informative, inspirational, enlightening, and dynamic. But more importantly, we seek to be fair and balanced. There comes a time when the game tolerates no spectators, only players. There comes a time when we must recognize that our individual aspirations shape our collective destiny. There comes a time when getting in the game, despite the risks, despite the challenges, regardless of the cost, is simply the right thing to do. There comes a time when we must find our hearts, find our soul, and pursue our purpose for the greater good of all, for country, for humanity. There comes a time when we must manifest our true greatness. Yes, there comes a time, and that time is now. So let's get down to the essentials. The essentials. Serious radio for serious people committed to advancing the national conversation. And good evening and welcome to the Essentials Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I'm your host Hubert Edwards, and we're here this evening again to have a very wonderful conversation. I'll be joined shortly by a couple of guests. I think we're expecting about 3. And we're going to talk a bit about leadership, talk about Toastmasters International, and a very exciting conference which is going to be gracing the shores of the Bahamas. But we have another couple of minutes before those persons will join us. In the meantime, we need to say, well, it's after independence, but persons are still in the mood. And so, saying happy independence would still be appropriate. I trust that all persons, in whatsoever way you decided was appropriate, went out, stayed in, and consumed some of the energy that the independence had to offer. I certainly participated as much as I could, listened to a lot of the messages, listened to various declarations, certainly via TV. I saw the tattoo and the raising of the flag, the ecumenical services, the service, the dance, the whole thing, as best as you can enjoy that from a television. But, the independence season, I think, represents a very important one for the country of the Bahamas, now 50 years old. And, when you are 50, at anything, some persons will disagree. They like to say, well, a country which is only 50 is young. I disagree. At 50, in 2023, with the type of information which is available, with the type of connectivity across the world, this is not a time when an individual would jump on a boat or a ship and take them 2 or 3 months to get to New York or someplace there. This is instantaneous communication. We know exactly what happened in New York this morning or today. We know what is happening in England. We know what is happening in Norway. We know what is happening down in Australia. And so, the Bahamas right now, I think, is at a very exciting point, looking to marshal its way in the fabric of the global community, the global family. And if you would have listened very carefully throughout the various events, the various speeches that were given, the prayers that were offered up, I think you would have heard a common theme or a number of themes. But one of the things which I heard is that, look, there is going to be a need for a greater embracing of the message of the motto, especially the last word, the together. There's the acknowledgement that much have been achieved, much have been done. The Bahamas has gone places, done great things. But in many instances, some persons have been left behind. Some persons have chosen not to participate, And some persons have done it, not at the level expected and certainly not up to their potential. And I believe that the call is for the Bahamas, the people of the Bahamas, to step forward and to start doing it differently. A recognition that everyone is needed at the table, contributing in as significant a way as is possible so that the Bahamas can progress, so that the Bahamas can move forward, so that the Bahamas can lift its head to the rising sun. And it's a really important message. At least that's what I heard. May have not been the words exactly said, but that's what I choose to glean from the multiplicity of declarations which were given. And one of the reasons why I jump to those points is because they contrast sharply, extremely sharply, with what prevails on a day-to-day basis. When we look around, we do not often see, we do not often hear, we do not often feel the call to do this together. But during the independence celebration, certainly the Prime Minister did. The Prime Minister said, we have to come together. Great things have happened for the country. But in order to move forward, everyone needs to put their hand on the till and push. And that message, I believe, must resonate. It would be unfortunate, extremely unfortunate, if the sentiments expressed by the clergy, by national leaders, by leaders from all walks of society, if the example demonstrated by those who provided entertainment, those who put these events together, if the type of perseverance and patience and commitment demonstrated by persons who were willing to be in various locations in what I thought was 200 degrees heat to ensure that the Bahamas presents its best self to the rest of the world, because, it's a local event, but the world is always watching. And I believe in a very significant way, and it's continuing, the Bahamas did just that. It celebrated, and celebrated in grand style. A celebration worthy of a jubilee year, 50 years. But it certainly will be unfortunate, unequivocally will be unfortunate, if the sentiments ended at midnight or just after midnight on July 9th or in the early mornings of July 10th. All the declarations, all the commitments, all the statements made in the prayers must be given life, must transfer consistently over the next few days, and then the next few weeks, and then the next few months, into the next few years. Because they represent a true and unequivocal call, a pure call, immaculate call for exactly what I believe from my vantage point is needed for the Bahamas to transition from the very, very good state that it is as a country, ignoring some of the failings, but generally speaking, great platform on which to work. But if it is going to transform from there to what can be consistently be referred to as great, then the essence of those calls will have to be responded to, will have to become a part of life, and will have to be lived in such a way that the call from the motto of the Bahamas is given true, clinical, precision type life. After 50 years, I believe the foundation has been set. The ideals have been examined, tested. There are sufficient failings and flaws observed, which creates a foundation for building stronger, for growing taller, for going farther. Enough experience is behind the Bahamas. There's been sufficient time for the genius of the country to be well developed, a recognition of all of its parts and all of its pieces coming together for what we hope, I hope, will deliver in the next 50, an environment, a country, a nation which consistently reaches, achieve, and maybe even surpass expectation, but certainly reaches potential. There's huge potential in the Bahamas, in every aspect and sphere of life. Plenty. The limitations which may exist in many instances of resources, so on and so forth, can be overcome with creative thinking, innovative application, and just doggedly working together. But that willingness must be there. I believe that at the end of the day, if every single individual accords unto him or herself a true responsibility to work to the best of their ability, a true responsibility to do all that they can, the best they can, to become the best individual based on the skills that they have been endowed with, the talents they have been endowed with. I certainly believe well before the dawning of the next 50, which would be the 100th year celebration, the Bahamas would be well on its way to achieving the great ideals of its founding fathers, the ideals which have been referred to consistently over the last couple of weeks, and in many ways are being refined and redefined for the road ahead. If we do that, if everyone who has an obligation, a commitment, a connection to the country does that and does that well, then most certainly, the country will achieve, will move forward, and will always simply be achieving loftier and loftier goals. You're listening to The Essentials, The Reset. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we are going to make a shift into discussion around Toastmasters, leadership, communication, and the big conference turning up on the doorsteps of the Bahamas. Don't move. Come right back.
Beulah gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood.
We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too?
Of course we can.
But we could be in deep trouble if they find out.
We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami.
So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles.
Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal.
So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
At a time when jobs are hard to find, crime is a concern, and Bahamians are uncertain about the future of the country, there is one paper you can rely on as your source of news and commentary. The Nassau Guardian delves deeper into the news. We ask the tough questions. We tell your stories. If you haven't already, pick up a copy today. The Nassau Guardian. News and views that matter since 1844.
Do you know you can get your business cards designed and printed for as low as 18 cents a card? If it's a poster you want, you can pay as little as $6 a square foot. If your print needs are short or long run, digital printing, wide format, or print consultation, call the best. Call Print Masters. Print Masters' goal is to provide its clients with the highest level of personal, professional service at an affordable price. Our state-of-the-art technology also makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals are just a few of the digitized print services offered at Print Masters.
Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
It's so essential, so serious. Time for these essentials.
And welcome back to the Essentials, the Reset. I'm your host, Hubert Edwards, and we're going to have a conversation with some great guests from the Toastmasters International Organization. Of course, if you want to join us later, the numbers are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and our text line is 4224796. We have in studio with us Mr. Wentz Martin and Mr. Anthony Tiger Longley. And on Zoom, we have Mr. Stephen Bonamy, who is the president of Club 1600. Mr. Longley is a past international director, the first past international director that came out of the Bahamas, sitting on this global body. And Mr. Wentz Martin, a longtime distinguished Toastmaster, is now serving as Division Director, Division I Director, and you will learn exactly what all of that is involved. But welcome back to the Essentials. Mr. Longley, welcome to the Essentials. Mr. Martin and Mr. Bonnaby, how are you all?
I am just great, Hubert Edwards, distinguished Toastmaster. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to have these sessions where we talk about Toastmasters. But I'm going to, usually we, kind of make sure that we get in the most senior persons first. But this evening we have a special young man on the line, and so we are going to go to him. He is the newly minted president of Club 1600, one of the clubs, the first club, that Toastmaster club here in the Bahamas. Certainly, he takes on the M of a very, very, very strong tradition, a very important tradition right here in the Bahamas. When we contemplate the fact that, right now the Prime Minister of the Bahamas is a distinguished Toastmaster and actually a member of the said club. And the Deputy Prime Minister is also a distinguished Toastmaster. Mr. Stephen Bonamy, welcome to the Essentials.
Thank you. Feeling highly favored. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's certainly a pleasure to have you. Talk to us a little bit about your club and your expectations for this administrative year. You are the new incoming president. What are some of your plans and programs that you intend to deploy as you move through this administrative year?
Thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to share, Mr. Edwards. Well, as you mentioned, we have a rich history of developing outstanding leaders in the country. Two of them being the top number 1 and 2 positions, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Prime Minister. Their history stemmed from era of transformation in our country along the lines of health suffrage, the majority rules in the 1960s, and that void of leadership. There was a need for leaders at that time, and so that's when Club 1600 was born. During the time when we needed leaders to change the Bahamas as we see it, and so 50 years later, here we are with a whole new onset of challenges, and leadership is still needed. It is a great time for me to take on the reins of Toastmasters Club 1600. And I just look forward to implementing the programs that have been successful throughout our history, the youth leadership programs, where we go into the schools and instill confidence in young individuals. We allow them to take over and learn the elements of a Toastmasters meeting. Whether it's in the table topic session, they get to practice extemporaneous speaking, or they do their own speech writing, and we give them evaluations. We ensure that they leave feeling more confident than they were. And it has been an honor to just be a part of that process, because in Toastmasters, I say, it's one of the only places you get to listen to the process of growth. Each week you go and hear the young individuals get better and more confident. And I always tell youth leadership participants, the goal is not to be perfect, but at the end of the day, be confident. That is the foundation of excellence in leadership. And we have other flagship programs such as the Speechcraft, and also we do gavel clubs. We form gavel clubs. We worked with the Simpson Penn Center for Boys, Willamette Pratt Center for Girls, Miss Bahamas Universe, Junior Achievement, Gentlemen's Club, and just being a part of those initiatives has driven me to ensure they become exposed throughout the community, and the worlds get to see the positive impact we're having on these students and individuals who are not they're not able to see communication and leadership in the school curriculum, but they're definitely able to see it through the First Bahamas branch of Toastmasters Club 1600 and the work that we do and we're proud of doing. Yeah. So it's just an honor to take over the reins and have another successful year with those initiatives and excellence and service and bold leadership at the forefront of our minds.
Very good. I think a comprehensive assessment of what 1600 and Toastmaster represent to the country. Tell us a little bit about your journey. Why Toastmasters? Why not another organization? Why is it that you have found yourself in this particular organization, have hung around for a number of years, and now still have the type of energy and desire to higher offices?
Thank you. So I recall there was a time before I joined Toastmasters, I wanted to inspire positive change in my family business. And I did not know how to run the business, or as a matter of fact, try even to grow the business. And I also had other aspirations of professional growth, and I did not know where to start. And so there's someone who referred me, my schoolmate referred me, Toastmaster Monica, he referred me to Toastmasters Club. And it just so happens that I learned about one, and guess what? I was afraid of cold calls. So I did not know how to make cold calls, and I wanted to be a business professional, even as it pertains to getting information and asking general questions. So I had someone else make the cold call for me, and I just ended up taking on the advice and making the step forward to attend one meeting. And it was there that I saw evaluations take place, I saw speech development, speech writing take place, and it just kept pushing me forward, making me feel as though the supportive environment that I witnessed at Toastmasters Club 1600 would be able to help me. And eventually, I took another step forward, unconsciously as a matter of fact, to serve as a committee member under the sergeant at arms at the time, who was Anson Munnings. And I guess you can say his persuasive abilities, persuasive skills got me into serving as sergeant at arms. And it was all uphill from there as it relates to service. My journey was one of service. Every time I step into an executive position and I see the growth that is imparted on members that are affected around me, it just drives me to do better and to do more. And so eventually I served my way up through the treasurer, secretary position, the leadership program, all the way up to president, which I now serve as today. And just the growth that I've seen in myself, unassured individual I was, the ones I did not understand the nuances of doing a sales pitch, being a business professional, growing a business, and those are now techniques and skills of the past for me. And so today I just aspire to do more, even perhaps be an international director or division director like the two guests we have with us today. And so it's just a matter of commitment to the leadership journey. And I just look forward to doing more. Even after I'm president, I will still be active in Toastmasters. And the core values resonate with me wholeheartedly. I look forward to continuing that journey in Toastmasters.
Yeah, beautiful. You know, I'm going to say something, right? And I don't want persons to necessarily in any way take this the wrong way. But I'm sitting here and I'm in awe. And persons may be listening to you and saying, well, he hasn't said anything mind-blowing. No, maybe not. But how he has said it is mind-blowing. I knew from whence he came. And to be in a position of privilege, to be the recipient of you explaining to us what Toastmaster represents and the potential it holds for leadership. And to sit here before this mic and have the opportunity and the ability to say to you, look at who some of the great leaders of this country are, all the way up to the Prime Minister who have participated and benefited from this program. And then to contrast that with a young man, a young president, this is the argument we make, and you who've listened to the show know that we talk a lot about Toastmasters here. This is the argument we make about the power of communication and leadership. And this is why, as often as we can, we entreat individuals to participate, to check it out, to become a part of an organization, or any organization for that matter, which causes you to shift on leadership, shift your perspective on communication, shift your perspective as to how you serve your brother man. Because all of us ought to be committed to service, and that's certainly what you get from Toastmasters. So if I say to you, Stefan Bonamy, speak to the young individual out there who is now where you were, what would you say to that individual, that young girl, that young boy, or not so young adult, or not so young individual who wants to learn, who wants to grow, but is unsure?
You said that nothing said was mind-blowing. And the funny thing is, I'm going to say something cliche. It's a well-known fact, a well-known statement that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yep.
And so, for that young individual who feels stuck in a place or a certain moment of time, there is a way out of that situation. It only is a matter of action. Action is a bridge to success, and that action is just taking one single step in the right direction. And so if that individual wants to get out of this proverbial rut as it relates to their personal leadership journey or their personal goals, first they must have the desire to change, and they must then surround themselves with individuals who also have the desire to see them do better and who also wants to see themselves change and empower others. And there's no place better that I've observed than what Toastmasters has done, not only in Club 1600, but the vast network of clubs all around the world. They have individuals with a supportive environment who want to see them grow. And the most quickest way to do that, through communication. How you communicate to yourself can make the world of difference into where you want to go. And I recall doing an icebreaker. If everyone knows who isn't familiar with Toastmasters, the icebreaker is the first speech you would give in a Toastmasters program where you tell your own story. And many may not prepare for it as thoroughly as they should, but if you can tell your own story in a great way and you can memorize it, you will be so much more rooted in who you are, so much better prepared for life and the challenges it may throw at you. And so it is one of the only speeches I encourage Toastmasters to remember and be able to say at any time. In an interview, they should know who they are. In times of adversity, they should know who they are and what their story is and what their goals are. And for that person, I'll definitely encourage them to just take that single step in the right direction and surround themselves with people who want to see them do better.
Get to know yourself, know exactly who you are, and that start by thinking about your story, writing your story, telling your story to others, so that at any point in time, when you come up against adversity, when you come in circumstances of opportunities, you can remind yourself who you are, that you are a great individual, you're an individual who have leadership abilities, you're an individual who can communicate, you're an individual who is filled with potential to do great things. And that's exactly what is inculcated in the persons, the members of Toastmasters International. And so, you know, we want to wish you all the best on this journey. We know that you're going to be successful. You are surrounded by individuals who won't allow you to be otherwise. It is one other aspect of the Toastmaster International organization. Mentors. Mentors are there whether you want them or not. They will impose themselves on you, whether you take it gently or not. You will get the learning, you will get the training, you will get the correcting. But at the end of the day, it's really about your individual, your personal success, and that of the overall organization. Now, we are going to shift. You can still remain with us a bit, but I'll shift a bit to the senior men in the room, distinguished Toastmaster Anthony Longley and Vince Martin. Again, you are here to share with us. Because one of the big things which is happening, you know, beyond the fact that Toastmaster is a great organization doing great things in the country, is that this year we are going to be hosting in the Bahamas the conference, the international conference, where all persons from all walks of life, from every, as they say here, will be seeking to come to the Bahamas for this big event. Distinguished Toastmaster Longley.
Thank you very much, Distinguished Toastmaster Edwards. Yes, certainly. Exciting times. These are exciting times in the Toastmasters community here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And throughout District 47, as you very well know, we are connected to District 47.
District 47 being the Bahamas and
Southeast Florida.
Right.
Correct. And so we are the host district of the convention.
Mm-hmm.
However, we have the great fortune of the actual site being here in the Bahamas at the Grand Hyatt, which is a part of the Bahama Resort on Cable Beach, August 16th through 19th. And we have an exciting lineup of speakers. We have the keynote speaker, who is world-renowned in the person of Mrs. Lisa Nichols.
Resident of the Bahamas.
Resident of the Bahamas. Married to a Bahamian, so she is now one of us.
Marcellus Hall.
Yeah, so we'll claim her. She's one of us.
Belongs to us.
Oh, yeah. And she will bring the house down as keynote speaker. We also have a lineup of session speakers, and we were very deliberate in selecting a cadre of Bahamians to be a part of the program in terms of the speakers lineup. We have, for example, for our focus sessions, we have Distinguished Toastmasters DeQuesta Dean and Carlos Palacios. And we have Toastmaster Linda Clark, who I believe, if not already, is right on the verge of her Distinguished Toastmasters designation. We also have, who is not a Toastmaster, but I believe by the end of this convention, she will be one of us. We have Simone Bowe, who is very well known as a public speaker and trainer here in the Bahamas, with a great background in human resources and personal development. So she'll be one of the speakers as well and trainers at this convention. We have women who will be on the ground participating and making this a grand success, because no conference or convention or hardly any big event can occur without having volunteers. So we have what we call helping hands in Toastmasters. These are the volunteers who will be on the ground facilitating the various sessions, facilitating the movement of the human traffic, and just ensuring that everything goes smoothly. And they would be overseen by a group of team chairs. Each one of them will have a team, and they will be the team leaders. And about, I think, 13 to 15 of those, and the majority are Bahamians. Only about, I think, 3 to 4 will be non-Bahamian Toastmasters. So you see, we'll be intricately featured in this event because we want the culture, the feel, the hospitality, the mood of our people to exude,
ooze.
to be exuded and
oozing Bahamian
that's
all
right.
day.
And we set.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're having here.
Okay. And this is one of the highlight of the International Toastmasters calendar. Persons look forward to this throughout the years, right? And persons are coming not only to participate in the event itself, but to consume some of the country, yeah?
Most definitely. Quite a number. There's been a tremendous interest in arriving early. We have persons inquiring about coming a few days early, and many of them inquiring about staying a few days post-conference,
right?
And to explore. So one of the team leaders we will have would be Distinguished Toastmaster Denison Balfour, who will head the hospitality desk.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's so fitting because she actually is. And she will head that desk. We anticipate perhaps having 1 or 2 persons actually from the Ministry of Tourism on site to help sell the country. And she will be informing them about tours, what's available, giving them advice on where to go and how to book with the booking of these tours.
Mm-hmm.
So persons can go out on excursions after the conference, hopefully go down to the exumations and swim with the pigs and some scuba diving or whatever it is that they wish to do.
Yeah. So, I know there's a cynical person out there who's saying, all these people just talk. But it's not just that. Even if you conclude we're here to talk, it's an opportunity for an organization which has been a mainstay in the country to, in this moment, sell the country to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. And, the Bahamas, when it comes to participation in District 47, we are no chopped chicken liver part of Toastmasters.
Right.
We have some 40 clubs here in the Bahamas, and our clubs compete heads up, and very often we emerge with the top club in the district.
Mm-hmm.
We have had that repeatedly for over the many decades. And so we are very strong here. We have Toastmasters clubs in some Grand Bahama, got the second club that was formed in the Bahamas, Club 1425. They're still strong, and there are others there. We have Abaco and Eleuthera.
Yeah.
Salvador.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Wentz Martin, you are now, let me put it this way. I observed that you took a little bit of a leadership hiatus, frontline leadership hiatus, and you are now back on the front line. You are the division director. Talk to us about your General Toastmaster journey to this point, and how are you energized to deliver at this new level of Toastmasters experience?
Okay, well, thank you for that question, Mr. Edwards. First of all, good afternoon, good evening, everyone in the listening audience. We are Toastmasters, even yourself, distinguished Toastmaster Edwards. And it all starts, people ask, how do you become a distinguished Toastmaster? It starts with the inability to speak. It starts with fear. It starts with not actually wanting to confront anyone and just stay quiet, be in a closet, mind your own business. And once you get that particular perspective that the world is going to continue to spin and you have a contribution, everyone has a purpose. I've came up under the era of Miles Monroe where purpose and potential was really the watchwords, right? And Toastmasters is that organization that allows you not to be a speaker, but to build confidence to speak. So the organization of Toastmasters isn't for persons who are perfect speakers or perfect communicators. The key words for Toastmasters International is about communication and leadership. So we have this theme where leaders are. That's what our journey is about. So when you ask about my journey, it's coming up from speech impediment. I'm growing up on an island like Inagua where we don't have sufficient teachers. And then moving myself through the ranks and moving up to Division I director, working hard, but also not shying away from challenges, not shying away from opportunities, even if you think you're not ready. So if anyone is listening really to me, you will walk away with this thing. Go after it even if you don't think you're ready. Because many of the great inventors, many of them didn't think that they were ready to do it. And so my journey in Toastmasters came up when I was a teacher at the then College of the Bahamas, without dating myself too much, and being in a speech class, and there was a call for a Toastmasters club, a speechcraft at the College of the Bahamas. And so my journey started by just attending. And in attending, I realized it helped me with my speech impediment. It helped me not just in terms of the linguistic aspect of writing a speech and speaking, but it also helped in confidence. And I think that's what many of us want and need, and building the confidence and constantly getting feedback. We call it evaluation in a Toastmasters meeting. It's that critical, constructive feedback that allows us to become better at what we do. And so my journey started there. And the more you speak, the more you want to speak. And so you break out of the shell. And I listened to President Stephen Barnaby, and I'm like, wow, because if you met him, he was quiet, and now, he had like 30 minutes. And I'm saying, it takes you out of that shell, builds your confidence to the extent that you go beyond. And so my role is now Division Director. Club 1600 is one of the 20 clubs in Division I. And we have a number of clubs, as you heard Distinguished Toastmaster Longley started to talk about the various places that we impact. Our footprint throughout the Bahamas is pretty big. Mm-hmm. We have been far south as Maguana. I would love to have a club down in Inagua, where my folks are as well. And so we have created clubs in Exuma, and we've been clubs in Salvador, 2 clubs in Andros, a couple clubs on Eleuthera, Abaco, of course, Grand Bahama. Because, of course, the second city can't be left out. And so we have had a very momentous journey in the country. And as we celebrate 50 years, we look at a country and we look at how Toastmasters has impacted this country. And, of course, you've heard it said, we have impacted this country by producing a prime minister and a deputy prime minister who was...
amongst
many other leaders like Distinguished Toastmaster Long, who was rose to the rank of international director. Mm-hmm. And a plethora of, I'm talking about experts, specialists, people of all... And Toastmasters is a wonderful networking society, perhaps better than any other. Without calling names, and it allows you to meet people from various different backgrounds. In my home club, which has about 82 members, there are people from various different backgrounds, educators, assurance agents, lawyers, accountants, people who go to the door, working for the Ministry of Public Works, setting your numbers on your house. I'm talking about a wide range of professionals. Mm-hmm. And that's what Toastmasters is. It's encompassing, and it's all encompassing. And so for those who are listening, feel free to visit any one of the 40 44 clubs in the Bahamas. Feel free. We meet there. There's a club meeting right now, actually.
Every single day.
And when the keynote speaker in that club is Anastasia Palacios, who happens to be from Division I, but she is now in the runnings for the world champion of public speaking. Yeah. This is momentous. This is, I mean, if you really understand the gravity of what's happening here, we have a person from the Bahamas who is, I think she's a Region 8, because we're part of the Division I, District 47, and then region is a wider region. And she is now a Region 8 finalist. And there's an opportunity that she can actually become world champion of public speaking.
Crowned right here in the Bahamas.
Crowned right here in the Bahamas on our 50th anniversary. Oh, that's so fitting. When, for the first time in so many years, Toastmasters conventions, and I'm told, and I can be corrected, but Toastmasters International Convention usually doesn't come out of the United States. And so I know there was one in Asia, in Kuala Lumpur, a few years ago, but this is the second time they're out of the United States in their 99-year history, because we'll be 100 years next year, right? 1924, we were chartered by Ralph Smedley. If you really know the excitement,
stars are aligning.
This is almost prophetic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Distinguished Toastmaster Longley, you have been here many times. We have told your story so many times, but you don't get bored hearing it. But the aspect of it which I want to focus on at this point in time, as we celebrate 50 years of independence, the power of leadership, the importance and value of leadership to this country. And I want you to kind of give us a parallel view of how you transition from the street up the road all the way to sit on the international board of a global organization, and how we as leaders, anybody at any level, can employ that path and that discipline to achieve what they set out to achieve in life. Talk to us about that, the importance of that discipline and taking that journey.
Yes, most certainly. And just before I venture into that, Hubert, I wish to just correct something that Rent Martin said just now.
I know that was coming.
Because that can't stay out there. No, he mentioned in talking about the success to date of Toastmasters, he indicated that she's made it to the finals. I just want to correct that. She's made it to the semifinals.
Semifinals.
Right.
Yes.
And the semifinals will be held on the Thursday of the convention. She has to pass through that in order to make it to the finals, which will be held on Saturday. Yeah. And the finals is what is called the World Championship of Public Speaking.
Just being prophetic.
Yeah. Okay. So, but because...
I know you are a stickler for detail. But
also with me being the co-chair of the convention.
Make sure everything is right.
I couldn't let that stay out there. Yes. This is being listened to by the world.
Yes.
But distinguished Toastmaster Pamela D. Roll and I share the role of chair of the convention. We are co-chairs, and so we are honored to do just that. Well, Hubert, this studio sits pretty much on the precipice of Bain and Grantstown, and this is the area where I was raised, just half a mile up the street, 3/4 of a mile to the most. Up the street, West Street. So I'm like home right now. Can anything good come out of Bain and Grantstown?
You tell us.
Most certainly. I mean, this nation is just full of producers and contributors and builders who have come out of this community. And so it is instilled in me from birth to venture and to strive and to achieve. Toastmasters, however, has been the vehicle to cultivate that, fertilize that, and to bring out what has been poured into me by my community, by my village, and by the family that I was privileged to be born into. And so When I came into the program, I could not do it. First of all, I had to battle the speech impediment of stuttering, and that was a challenge. I was afraid to hit the lectern. I can recall that first manual, we call it the beginner's manual back then, with those 10 speech projects that are supposed to get you prepared to go on and advance in this program. Well, the average member would walk through that beginner's manual in those 10 phases in about, on the average, 8 to 10 months. In fact, all of the members I joined with were done with that manual in 6 to 8 months, whereas it took me 3 years to the very month to complete that. Why was that? Stage fright. Stage fright. Every time I was assigned to speak, man, I came down with a flu. An imaginary one, of course.
Flew away.
Yes, and did not show up. And so that just dragged on and dragged on. But the persons reached out, and that's the magnificence of this program, the support mechanism.
The mentorship.
The mentorship. The persons reached out and say, hey, I can see that you are not progressing the way you ought to. I can see that you're not moving where you probably want to move. And through that mentorship and that support, I was able to get on track with it and begin to move. Now, the interesting thing, though, about growth and leadership is that in any sphere of involvement of society, others seem to see in you what you have not yet seen in yourself. And that is what happened to me. And so after passing through the club ranks of leadership, somebody reached out and said, I believe you can be an area director, an area governor at the time. I believe you can do that. Why don't you try that? And of course, my feeling was, no, I'm not ready for that. But through persistence of these persons who had the confidence, I did it.
Yeah.
And that continued. And that continued right on up the line, even to where I'm at today as having served as an international director. It was a past international president who was a member of Club 1600, distinguished Toastmaster Matthew Kinsey, who pulled me aside one day at the international convention and said, I believe you can do this. You should try to be an international director. And I said, man, you've got to be out of your mind. No way. And he stuck with it. And what did he say? If you try it and you do it and you achieve it and you elect it, you can count on my mentorship. You can count on my guidance. Did he deliver? Most certainly did.
Most definitely.
And that is how it happens.
Yes.
And so my mandate now, and someone asked me the other day, you've been in Toastmasters for 36 years. How come? Well, I just explained how others have poured into me. My mission now is all about pouring into others. And so I have to pay back what has been deposited into me.
Yeah. And that is a fantastic part. And I'm going to say to Bonamy, as you listen to distinguished Toastmaster Longley being in the same home club, as you listen to the deliberations earlier from Toastmaster Martin, as it relates to mentorship, can you, kind of give us your experience? How does it impact you? Because, oftentimes in many different spheres of life, we hear about we need to mentor people, we need to pour into them, we need to support them. We actually do. And then when you analyze that in the final analysis, not much takes place. What has been your experience in Toastmasters?
Wow. Well, as it relates to mentorship, and I really am biased because I've only had mentorship experience through Toastmasters Club 1600 per se. So through my mentorship experience in Toastmasters Club 1600, it has been one where the culture has really affected me positively, because we have, other than the flagship programs and participation in initiatives such as youth leadership programs, we have extracurricular events such as Ladies' Night and the Neil Pesenti Knowledge Pavilion, the other speech contests, and in any time you step up to participate in such events, you automatically have someone who wants to see you succeed, and so they eventually take you in or take you under the wings per se and coach you as it relates to those speaking opportunities. If you have an interview to do, you can field our leadership and building sessions on a Tuesday night or lab on a Tuesday night, and you have an environment, an informal environment where everyone evaluates you based on your presentation. And so mentorship is one where you definitely take in a lot from members who have succeeded. Senior men such as Distinguished Toastmaster Anthony Longley in our program, and also other past presidents, they are still active. And once they remain active, you are definitely prone to gaining a lot of experience in a short matter of time because of the advice and the support they give once you keep participating each week. And so it's been very positive. My mentorship experience through the program has been very positive and has definitely led me to the confidence that I have today.
Wentz Martin?
Yeah, well, mentorship is a two-way street. Mentorship involves you pouring in as well as open yourself to be poured into. So it has to be that you're willing to be mentored. Mentorship isn't about your friend telling you everything you want to hear. It's about someone who has the experience and leading and guiding you to a path or making suggestions. So in thinking about mentorship and thinking about what was said by the president and, of course, DTM Longley, I also think, because I've been in like 5 different Toastmasters clubs, and I've been in a number of organizations outside of Toastmasters, but I think Toastmasters has probably the most structured approach to mentorship. There is actually a pathway project involving mentorship, and because we don't see it as just something academic, it's a very practical. And so I have really appreciated the experiences of the men and women who've been my mentors. And of course, we can have formal mentors in Toastmasters where your club appoints a particular person to guide you through the program, which is fantastic. So when you are inducted as a member in Toastmasters, we don't just leave you on your own. You're like a babe. We have a mother or a father who comes and takes that baby in the cradle, and he sort of helps them with every speech development, helps them in terms of the evaluation and learning about the greater organization, which is Toastmasters. And so that's what I appreciated with it. So my mentors have been persons like, of course, DTM Longley, and you've heard Distinguished Toastmaster Pamela Rule, but there are even some other younger persons who would have arrived after I have. I've been in around for like 19 years, persons who have just arrived, but they're skilled. Well, we're all about just public speaking or communication. That's a gross misconception. It's really about developing your entire person. And of course, that's a part of being a leader as well as being a communicator. And so mentoring is a very big part of that. And if you open yourself up to being mentored, you will become international director or perhaps international president. Who knows? I'm looking for a Bahamian to be sitting in the seat of international president. I'm not going to give Toastmaster Longley any,
I was actually thinking
any
about
pressure, but
well,
you know,
in reflecting on this show today, I was thinking, what else is Toastmaster Longley going to do? Well, international president seemed to be the absolutely natural next step. There may be a few steps in between. I don't know, but we look forward to seeing there. We're going to take ourselves a break here, and when we come back, we're going to get some more information, a little bit more information on the conference. We want to kind of, bring you in and whet your appetite and make sure that you understand what is you. We're entreating you to be a part of this grand occasion, which will be happening in August 16th to the 19th at the Grand Hyatt Bahamas. So you want to join us for that. So don't move. Come right back. We're talking leadership. We're talking Toastmasters.
It's so essential, so serious. Time for these essential.
Loss of family members is very isolating, and people who have experienced loss appreciate when others have shared their grief. If you can't be there in person, go to the Nassau Guardian's website online at thenassauguardian.com and visit our obituary link. The Nassau Guardian's interactive obituary link allows you to read the funeral announcement, express condolences, or place photos on the online guest book for 1 full year. Losing a loved one is painful, but that pain isn't the worst thing to happen. Friends, loved ones, colleagues, and neighbors who ignore the loss. Should the bereaved family wish to place the obituary and photos on our obituary site, just contact the Guardian's funeral industry partners or the Nassau Guardian. Remember, there isn't one magic right thing to say to someone experiencing loss that will make the loss less painful or easier to bear. The Nassau Guardian's obituary link, available online at thenassauguardian.com.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father.
Hello, I'm Simeon Hall. I grew up through a dead-end corner called Chokeneck Alley off Market Street. I dropped out of school in the 5th grade and worked as a carpenter's helper for McAlpine Company. But it was while in the alley I discovered my life's calling was to preach the gospel. A Catholic nun at Aquinas night classes inspired me when she told the class that we all were made in God's image. It's a long way from Chokeneck Alley to preaching through all the inhabited continents of the world. The circumstances of your birth need not dictate what you can do or where you can go in this life. Young man, drop your gun. Find your life's highest purpose. Lift yourself from the gutters of crime. Your next crime might lead to your death, and loved ones will have to bury you. Eternity is just ahead. In which section will you spend it? Non-smoking or smoking? Heaven or hell? You are made in God's image. So this week, attend a church of your choice and reconnect with God.
Your print needs are short or long run, digital printing, wide format, or print consultation. Call the best. Call Printmasters. They have been in the printing business since 1957 and are a printing company with a tradition of excellence. The goal at Printmasters is to provide their clients with the highest levels of personal professional service at an affordable price, along with the technology that makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals, are just a few of the digitized printing services offered at Printmasters. Call 302-2361 and print with the best. Print with Printmasters.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
No, it's so essential, so serious. Time for these essentials.
And welcome back to the Essentials. As we indicated before, the numbers to join us are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and our text line 422-4796. We are having a conversation around leadership mentoring. We're talking about communication and the potential that this organization holds for helping to groom and develop individuals, young men, young women, not so young men, not so young women, right across the breadth of the Bahamas. And we're also focusing on the upcoming conference. It's going to be a big deal. Great, grand international speech competition, and we have a formidable Bahamian who is participating, not yet in the final, at the semi-final stage, but certainly, as Wentz Martin would have indicated, we're speaking in prophetic terms as it relates to that. Stephen Bonamy, I know that you have to leave us shortly, so we will come back to you and ask, as you look forward to the conference, you look forward to this administrative year, what are some of the exciting things you expect to happen? What are some of the things you would love to see as you come to the end of the year in June 2024?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity for me to share some of the things I have planned for my year, our year in Toastmasters Club 1600 would include the continuation of the youth leadership programs, especially in institutions such as the Simpson Penn Center and the public schools that we have in some of the academic institutions as well. Our continued partnerships with the Gentlemen's Club, Junior Achievement, as relates to the speech craft.
You have mentioned these things a couple of times. What exactly do you do in the Gentlemen's Club? What exactly is it that you do in Junior Achievement? And somebody out there may be asking, what is a Gavel Club?
Indeed. So all three of them are core elements of the Toastmasters International education programs. The Youth Leadership Program, for instance, is a series of 8 sessions. You can do them weekly. And each week, we allow young individuals, young students, to conduct a Toastmasters meeting per se. We have a chairman who would be the one to chair and lead the meeting. We have table topics masters, or the table topic session, which gets the students involved in answering questions on their feet. And we also have someone who writes the speech and also assign someone who evaluates the speech. So they are able to get immediate feedback right away and learn how can they improve their speech writing ability and their communication skills. So at Gentlemen's Club, I'd like to shout out to Toastmaster Edward Thurston, who's very instrumental in the youth leadership program at the Gentlemen's Club. We worked with pre-gents until their graduation. And I think the final session we had a son and father's workshop where we allowed the fathers to see the progress the Toastmasters program had on the pre-gents. And it is a similar education program of the Toastmasters International, except for it's much more fast-paced. And the participants would only work on one speech. We did this with the Miss Bahamas Universe contestants who recently had their pageant. They'd done extremely well in a short amount of time. It was 4 weeks they had. And so we had 4 sessions we did with them. And we worked on their platforms. Distinguished Toastmaster Delmaro Duncombe was instrumental in ensuring that the participants and contestants were confident in themselves and the message that they wanted to convey. And so the other program we mentioned was the Gavel Clubs. And Gavel Club is a Toastmasters club essentially for the schools. And this is the same type of elements of communication and leadership training, but it's just now exposed to our schools. And so as I went to the school, show them what the Toastmasters program is all about and give them a mentor or a coordinator to continue that program until they can be left alone by themselves and be able to conduct the meeting by themselves. And so this is a few of the programs that we look forward to continuing this year's administration, and of course, exposing them, giving them much more publicity on a wider scale, and allowing us to showcase some of the best leaders I believe we have in the Toastmasters program. I'm biased in saying that, but I believe the Toastmasters Club 1600 are some of the best Toastmasters we have to date. And so this year, my theme is building with the best. If you need a place to build your personal brand, build your community, build your legacy, then Toastmasters Club 1600 is definitely the place for you to be. You can see how our culture fits with your learning style, and you can take it from there. Mm-hmm. But our flagship programs are very instrumental, and if anyone wishes to support, sponsor, or come and find out what some of our programs have done for the young individuals in society, then feel free to reach out to us, and we'd definitely be happy to accommodate your concerns and questions.
Yeah, and so that's an important thing. And so your final word as you leave us, because we're going to get right into the issue of, kind of delving deeper into the conference. And of course, we have distinguished Toastmaster Wentz Martin is going to rebut your statement made earlier. So before you both get into an argument, let me get at least one of you off the line. And what is your final word for us this evening, especially as you speak to individual who you would like to impress upon this idea of Toastmastering? He's still there with us?
Yes. So, yes, my final statement is, essentially what I said before, if you wish to find a place where you have a supportive environment, equally yoked, like-minded individuals looking for positive and personal growth, personal development, then just join us. We meet each Thursday.
Then
8 p.m. At the Bahamas Red Cross Society.
Okay.
And we look forward to seeing you there.
All right. Thank you so much, President Toastmaster Stefan Bonamy, and we wish you all the best. We look forward to a successful year, and we know that you will be successful as a president. You have great mentors around you. You have Toastmaster Wentz Martin, to distinguished Toastmaster Anthony Longley. And so with individuals like these, you certainly can go wrong, even if you try to. And so we wish you all the best, and we look forward to hearing from you as you progress through the year. So, the essential is always here to tell the good stories when you interact with young people, the lessons that you learn and the great things which have emerged out of your programs. We want to hear about them. So thank you very much for being with us.
Yes, gents. Thank you for having me. All the best. Thank you so much.
Certainly a pleasure. And so, distinguished Toastmaster Wentz Martin, I know you are raring. You are going to rebut him, aren't you?
Well, I'm not going to directly rebut.
Yes. Well, you can't do it. Not directly.
Well, not directly.
You're going to extend his statement.
I'm going to show that there is more love and more actual clubs that you can benefit from.
Yeah.
1600 has been the flagship club for the Toastmasters in the Bahamas. They're having been around from the 1960s. We know that the brand that 1600 brings is amazing. But of course, it's an all-male club. So we have ladies who wish to be a part of Toastmasters, who wish to be a part of this whole journey and experience. And so we have a number of other clubs. We have 44 clubs at all between Division I and, of course, Division F. Division F is led by distinguished Toastmaster Denison Balfour, who's the F director. And so we have the opportunity, if you're interested in any Toastmasters meeting on any given day, 1600 meets on a Thursday night. But if you're working, like I taught for many years on Thursdays, so I couldn't really make it to a Club 1600 meeting. But I was free on a Tuesday night, and so I made it to a Club 7178 meeting. But there are any number of clubs that you can go. There are clubs that meet on Saturday morning, the first breakfast club, as well as clubs that meet on Sundays, like Leading Voices. And so we have a ton of Toastmasters clubs for any given day of the week, Monday through Sunday, for you to go and find out what your speaking voice is. And they will work with you. You will get mentors. You will have the opportunity to shine. And it's not, once again, I am going to emphasize this, it's not just about speaking and communication, but it's also about leadership. There are projects that help you to lead people, to come out of your shell, to learn your style of leadership. There are pathways projects on how you become a better leader, how to know whether you're laissez-faire, well, we play on the word, whether you're an autocrat or a dictator or you're a consensus builder. And then we show where you are and where you need to be. And this is better than any college or university course, which causes thousands of dollars. Toastmasters is probably one of the lowest membership rates in any nonprofit organization in the world. Okay, so you are getting more than a bang for your buck.
Yes.
And you're getting an environment with professionals, people who've been around like 34 years. I've just only been in like 19, even though I'm only like 32. So the goal is to join, just to make the first step and go and join a Toastmasters Club. And of course, as distinguished Toastmaster Long will talk about the convention, you will have people coming from all corners of planet Earth to the Bahamas. And so you can network with those people, share the experience of people from Saudi Arabia, from Singapore and Australia,
and Kenya and Rwanda. And so it's amazing how you have this family of people. And Zoom has certainly made it easier because you can visit. I'm in Toastmasters meetings at 2 o'clock in the morning in Abu Dhabi. I mean, and last Saturday I was in New York City without ever having to go to JetBlue or American Airlines.
Yes.
I was in a Toastmaster. I'm helping to evaluate persons who are from Singapore and from Malaysia. And it was an awesome experience. So you see a Toastmasters family all around the world. And I think there are about 364,000 Toastmasters currently that are paid in the Toastmasters International Organization.
And that's an interesting thing, you know. I had an experience of speaking in Kenya. Didn't leave the Bahamas, but I spoke to a club in Kenya. Of course, there was a guy in there who was a little bit testy. You know, in true African style. That's you know, they really lean into you. Toastmaster Longley, as your co-chair, listens to us from the United States. Distinguished Toastmaster Pamela Roll, I want you to kind of bring us back to the main reason we are here, to dig into the nuts and bolts of the offerings of the convention coming up in August.
Absolutely, absolutely. As Toastmaster Vince Martin would have alluded to earlier, in the 99-year history of this organization, this is only the second time since they've been holding the annual international convention that the convention is being held outside of North America. It typically dances between the United States and Canada. Next year, for example, it'll be back in Canada. I think it's Vancouver. And so you're looking at, we have 144 countries where Toastmasters clubs are located. That's just about every continent. We have 14,700 clubs. And here we are, this little rock in the middle of the Atlantic, or assembly of rocks. And we get to host the Toastmasters International Convention, only the second one to go outside of North America. We are following Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, as you would have heard. But we're going to outdo them.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's the goal,
Yes.
all right? And so we will begin on the 16th of August, the Wednesday evening, with the opening ceremonies. That's going to be a grand occasion. Also joining us on that occasion would be the Honorable Prime Minister, who is himself a distinguished Toastmaster, as you alluded to, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis. He will be there with us, and the Deputy Prime Minister will be there. But the Prime Minister will give remarks on that evening. And late in the week, we will hear from our Deputy Prime Minister, who will be with us on one or two occasions throughout the week. And we expect that he would be with us. We're anticipating that he would be with us at the banquet, the presidential ball on the Saturday evening. So this is going to be exciting. So we're calling, and listen, Toastmasters don't have to buy an airline ticket, Bahamian Toastmasters. They don't have to buy, well, except those coming in from the Family Island, but they don't have to spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars to buy an airline ticket to go to the other side of the world. They just have to get right here to Nassau, or if they live in New Providence, they only get to drive a little distance to Cable Beach.
Yeah.
So what better opportunity if you've never attended an international convention to make this your first experience?
What about non-Toastmasters who are listening and say, well, maybe I would love to go check that out, right? I would love to go see the distinguished Prime Minister in his environment as a Toastmaster, the distinguished Deputy Prime Minister in his environment as a Toastmaster, to see what exactly it is that the United States or North America has kept so much guarded for 98 of the 100 years.
Yeah.
What do you say to those individuals? Can they turn up?
Yes, of course. Well, we have three options. There are three options. You can have the full in-person registration, which allows you to attend all of the events from Wednesday through Saturday evening, except for the banquet that's on a separate ticket. And there are a couple of lunch events that are on separate tickets. But all of the actual Toastmasters events, the speaking, the presentations, and the educational sessions, and the international speech contest, and all of that, you can attend everything for $725 US is the registration fee. And we just extended the early bird rate. That's the early bird rate, just extended to August 11th, because that should have ended on just about now. It should have ended around July 13th. And that's been extended to August 11th. So really there's no excuse. Your two co-hosts have worked hard to ensure that this is made easy and palatable for Bahamian Toastmasters. And then you have the all-access pass. That's for online persons. We'll have hundreds of persons joining us from around the world. So right now we're nearing 1,000 on-site registrations, but this is going to be beamed all over the world. And so the Bahamas is going to will reach the world online for those who don't come here, right? So we have that's $55 for the all-access pass, and they'll still be able to enjoy the opening ceremonies, the keynote presentation, the live education sessions, the international speech contest semifinals on the Thursday, the Golden Gavel Award. And talking about the Golden Gavel Award, now I cannot call the name yet. That has to still be held a secret. But let me just say this. The Golden Gavel Award is going to a Bahamian. Now, we have gone all over the world with this convention, and all sorts of people have won the Golden Gavel Award. It's an award that is given to someone who has reached the world, who has impacted international audiences, not just in public speaking, but in their leadership, in whatever their field of vocation or career choice is. It can be sports, it can be religion, it can be the arts, it can be business, whatever. And so some big names have gotten that award over the years. Of course, everybody knows Les Brown. He has gotten the Golden Gavel Award. But a lot of persons who are not public speakers have gotten this award. But a Bahamian is getting this award this year of international acclaim.
And this award isn't limited to a Toastmasters.
No. This award does not go to a Toastmaster.
Right.
This is for a non-Toastmaster, a community person
right.
who impacts lives in a very positive way and who has demonstrated leadership by changing lives in whatever it is that they do.
Even more reason for persons who are non-Toastmasters at this point to come out and see how their contribution, not that they're doing it for that type of a recognition, but to see how international organization interacts with the general public and recognize the fact, like you said, Les Brown, when you give an award of that caliber, that individual who is renowned worldwide, and a local Bahamian will receive that, puts that individual in a category of very, very envious crowd.
Yeah, and I want to say this. My co-hosts and I are so grateful and appreciative of the team at World Headquarters because of the involvement that they're allowing us to have, the input that they're allowing us to have in certain things, decision-making and making recommendations. When it came to the Golden Gavel Award, they reached out to us.
It's kind of your way of saying you have totally Bahamianized this convention.
Well, with their blessings.
With their blessings,
yeah. They've reached out to us and they've said to us, listen, our desire is to give this award to a Bahamian this year. We want you two, to make some recommendations of who you feel are deserving Bahamians. And we did just that. And the person at the top of our list was the person who they chose, right? And so I can't go any deeper into that. But I'll say one more thing about it. I'll just say, and it's a woman.
And it's a woman.
And that's that.
Boy, you've gone a little bit deeper. Now you're taking off the intrigue of the table.
And that's that.
Certainly.
All right? But be there. Everybody's going to be pleased.
Yes.
Everybody's going to be pleased about the choice.
Except the men.
even them will be choosed because even them even the men in this country pay attention to this individual's
Don't give
successes.
it away. Don't
That's
give it away. Don't
That's
give it away. What else should an individual anticipate coming into this conference?
You will have, for the first timers at the convention, there's a special gathering for the first timers, and they're usually treated with a special speaker. We have the leadership sessions. As I mentioned, international speech contest semifinals, golden gavel presentation. And then the candidates showcase. Now, one of the big highlights of the international convention is the business meeting. And that's where we have our election of officers. You've already mentioned that I served on the board of directors. That happened in a business meeting at the international convention held in Chicago, Illinois in 2018. That's where we elect the board of directors, which comprises about 16 or 18 international directors. And you have the first vice president, you have the second vice president, you have the international president-elect, and you have the international president, and you have the immediate past international president, all of whom make a board of directors. And the CEO of the organization is on the board, but a non-voting member of the board of directors, right? And so all of that happens right here in the Bahamas. That's correct. And in addition to that, we have something called the Accredited Speaker Program. So persons who are professional speakers, paid speakers, they can actually punctuate their career by earning the Accredited Speaker Program. That's an internationally recognized accreditation, all right? Accredited speaker. And then we have the Hall of Fame. That's where we recognize the successes of our districts all around the world. They go up on stage and they get their recognition for having met the various specifications and the various goals that are set out in the Toastmasters Leadership Program. We have the World Championship of Public Speaking, as alluded to earlier, and the President Inauguration, which is where we will induct the newly elected President and the Board of Directors. And that will be followed by the Grand Ball, President's Ball, where we dance into the evening. So this is all sorts of excitement.
Yeah, so it's a full 3 days, right? 3 days.
3 days.
Over 3 days, 16 to the 19th.
Yeah, starts with the opening ceremony on Wednesday. And that is immediately followed with a cocktail reception. And as mentioned, the Prime Minister will be there. And then we go into a whole slate of activities on Thursday from early in the morning right into the early evening. And same thing on Friday and then on Saturday. All right, the business meeting happens early on Saturday morning starts at about 8 a.m. We get into the all of that sort of stuff.
And then the big finale, which is the ball on the Saturday.
That's correct.
And
that's
everyone
correct. Actually, the speech contest, the international speech contest is also on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as we look forward to what is happening, there's yourself being one of the CEOs of this planning, and distinguished Toastmaster Pamela Roll is your co-chair. What, if any, are some of the things which you are learning, additional things which you would have gleaned, which have added to your armory of things applicable to leadership, new discoveries about Toastmasters?
I wouldn't say so much new, but certainly reinforcing the importance of teamwork, reinforcing the magnitude of what could be accomplished through teamwork, right? That comes out whenever you take on a responsibility like this.
Yeah.
Because whereas we are the co-chairs and we are the head of what is happening here in the Bahamas, nothing is going to happen without those who will be coming on stream as over the next few weeks. Those team leaders and those helping hands
volunteers.
Who are our volunteers.
Right.
And there are about 140 to 150 or so helping hands, who inclusive of those of that 13 to 15 chairs who will lead those teams, right? And so they will be the ones who make this a success. Those volunteers, you see? And so it's not, after this initial planning and so forth, my co-chair and I, we will gradually kind of be melting into the background, and we're going to just watch these people shine, because they're going to go through an orientation exercise. They've already had meetings with World Headquarters. They have to report for an orientation on the Tuesday, the day before the convention starts, and they will all know what their deployment will be. And it's going to be a joy to just watch them shine.
Leadership in action. As you listen to this, Wentz, and I know you oversee now 5 clubs, 4 or 5.
We have
no,
20.
No, 20. Yes, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm thinking.
The area directors.
This area director.
Yes.
So you have about 20 clubs under your direction, and as you listen to distinguished Toastmaster talk about the power of teamwork and pulling this together, making things happen, and the goals which you would have set for your division for the year. Talk to us about how that has been unfolding. I know it's very early in the year. We only about less than a month in, right?
Yes.
But how do you anticipate that will unfold? What have you seen from your team so far? What type of a vibe are you getting? Are you feeling we definitely going to fail this year?
Well, sometimes the human mind can play tricks on you. And failure, you know what? Is there anything really wrong with failure?
No.
Failure is just you didn't do it right this time. You have to try it again another way.
Except that you need to meet those goals.
Yeah, except that you have to meet those goals. Yes. And I think part of meeting those goals is proper planning. All right, being strategic, looking at the onset, looking at where you want to accomplish come June 30th, 2024, when I'm leaving office and I'm like, okay, area directors, what have you done? And I think I have a good band of area directors. One was working actually while we were speaking in terms of an installation. They were quite busy this week and next week with installation of various clubs. Each area director has about 4 or 5 clubs under there where they attend and perform a ceremony called the installation of officers. And it's teamwork. And so as we spoke earlier about mentorship, it all ties in, It all ties in the instance whereby you look at not just the communication aspect of Toastmasters. This is where teamwork gets in, because you're dealing with different personalities. You're dealing with people from different backgrounds, from different countries. Our country is a very international country. We have persons who live here, and they're from various different countries all around the world. And so they have different habits, they have different styles about them. And leadership is about cross-cultural sensitivity, knowing that I have some Filipino friends and I don't call them in a way that I call my Bahamian friends, because it can be insulting. So I learn their style and I adapt to that when I'm speaking to them or I'm calling them. And this is what Toastmasters helps you to learn, because you learn not just the communication aspect of things, but the leadership aspect, which is getting people to do the thing that you want them to do. And sometimes without them even knowing that is you getting them to do it. And so it's really that teamwork that's going to make the conference a success or the convention a success. But it's also going to make, as you heard President Barnaby, Club 1600 a success. And you take each individual component of the division, and if each club does what they're supposed to do in terms of moving the educational goals along and working on building their membership goals, what you actually have is 1600, Pinnacle Seekers, and all these other clubs working together to make the division stronger, building their membership, having labs. You heard the president also talk about gavel clubs and speechcraft. Speechcraft is where you take an old soldier like me who can't speak, and you come into, I'm not a Toastmaster yet, and you come into the school or you come into an organization and you actually allow someone, an experienced Toastmaster, to conduct or facilitate a session whereby I walk out of there after 6 or 8 weeks learning a little more about speaking and building confidence, which is a big thing in terms of Toastmasters. And so teamwork is a part of that, because you can't do things alone. And Toastmasters teaches you that. For every speaker, you need an evaluator. That shows you that you need another person to evaluate you. Yeah.
And so teamwork starts with that basic component.
And these things are applicable to real life.
Yes.
If, in a way, not to be biased, but in a way, if we were to see more of the way Toastmaster is executed in our business life, in our personal life, in our national life, wouldn't we be far greater, farther than we are today?
Listen, Toastmaster Edwards, you don't know how much we think about and talk about how we can use Toastmasters to impact our society. What we'd like to do in Division I, and I think I could kind of speak for Division I, have to say, that we want to see more corporate clubs. We had quite a bit of corporate clubs whereby the organizations, perhaps the Nassau Guardian could have a Toastmasters club, or we can have NB12, or we can have Kalina. Well, we know, you have so many opportunities to develop people. And that happens because when you think about it, I remember when I was at Scotia and we charted a club there, it was to help not only persons who are managers in the bank learn to communicate better with not just their staff, but with clients. But it also helped in the leadership. So instead of sending this guy off and spending $100,000 on an MBA, he sent him to Toastmasters, where he learns leadership skills. And he puts it in action because it's an everyday thing. It's not something that you learn, you put a book on the shelf, and you come back to it when you need it. No, this is something you do every day. So teamwork, mentorship, leadership building, soft skills, cross-cultural skills, learning to deal with other people, learning your leadership style, and learning that if I'm dealing with this DTM Longley, and if I like to shout, and he isn't very receptive to that, I'm not going to get him to do anything. So you have to learn his style as well. Definitely. The people that you're working with and motivating, you have to learn their style. You also, last thing I'll say, and I'll shut down, is like the car. I've always been told, I don't like petrol or gasoline, but my car does. So I have to give the car what it wants in order to get it to do what I want it to do, which is to drive me from here back home.
Powerful.
So it's not what I want. It's what the car
It's
wants.
what the other person needs. And if we take that view, it comes right back to this whole idea of serving. Because given what is unnecessary is in no way, shape, or form serving that individual. Distinguished Toastmasters, Distinguished Toastmaster Longley, one of the things that you have said over and repeatedly is to Toastmasters generally, when you speak to them, I've heard you said this. If you commit 80% of the time necessary to the program, it's going to pay great dividends. I want you to share why you came up with that view and how that can be applicable to our general life and certainly our business life and our national life.
Precisely, yes. You would recall earlier, I alluded to the fact that a lot of our journey whether it's in Toastmasters or areas of leadership in any other aspect of our lives, oftentimes it is someone else who recognized the potential in you before you recognized it in yourself. And they would say to you, I think you should try out for this. I think you can do this, all right? And oftentimes, individuals discount what is being said to them, or they come up with an excuse why they cannot do it. And usually the excuse is, I am very busy. Man, I'm busy. Man, I'm studying. Man, I'm doing a course. Man, I just got a promotion, or whatever. The thing is this. As you become more and more successful in life, there's no such thing as becoming less and less busy. It just doesn't equate. Right? As you become more successful in whatever you do, you will become more busy.
Busy people become successful.
Vice versa, right? And the thing is, being able to package that, being able to organize and structure yourself in a manner that allows you to have more time within the same 24 hours that everyone else has. Everyone has the same 24 hours, okay? Why is it that so many people can only get one thing done while others can get 10 things done, right? And so that's the first thing that we have to get known. So I say to people, listen, in Toastmasters or in whatever organization that you're in, it could be Rotary, it could be Kiwanis, it could be a lodge, it could be any charitable organization that you're a part of. The thing is this, you don't really have to be giving it 100% to get the maximum effort. I'll speak directly to Toastmasters for this, all intents and purposes. If you come into this program right now and you just commit 80 to 85%. Now, what does that mean, though? That means in your Toastmasters club, when you are assigned to be on the program, make an effort to prepare, make an effort to show up, make an effort to execute, right? When you are not on the program, make an effort to show up, make an effort to pay attention, make an effort to listen and to contribute. Mm-hmm. Because we learn in this program not just by being at the lectern and actually doing ourselves, but also by sitting on the sidelines and observing others as they perform and as we listen to the evaluations that they receive. Mm-hmm. And we take those mental notes, written notes, whatever the case may be, and we go back and we internalize those and we benefit from it. See? So the 85% is being involved. And well, you're not going to attend every meeting. Nobody attends every meeting in a year. I don't know the last time that happened. I remember Ed Carey got an award one time for having perfect attendance within a year. Right? I don't know if anyone did it since then. Right? And so we will not attend every meeting, but try to attend most of the meetings. And when you are there, you give it most of your effort. Mm-hmm. 80 to 85% participation gets you 100% results.
Yeah, I think that's a formula that most persons can work with. We're cleanly running out of time. So Wentz Martin, I want to get your final words on, whatever you want to entreat the listeners to.
Well, thank you very much. And it has been a pleasure being here. I'm here to promote Toastmasters as an organization. And whether you join a club in Division F, Division I, or in District 81, once you become a part of the Toastmasters organization, you become a part of a family. And it's not like any other organization because the goal is to focus on self-development and to make yourself a better person so that you can serve in these other organizations that you wish to join later. So it's just to entreat everyone to feel free and also to make sure that you join us at the convention on August 16th.
Definitely, you must be at a convention. It doesn't come out of the United States very often.
No.
And this year it is in the Bahamas. Toastmaster Longley, we have a minute. Your final words.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, listeners, go online, www.toastmasters.org, www.toastmasters.org. Register for the 2023 International Convention being held here in Nassau, Bahamas, at the Hyatt Grand Hotel, Bahama Resort, Cable Beach. It's at your doorsteps. And to the worldwide listening audience, we'd love to see you here in the Bahamas attending the in-person event. But if that is totally unable to happen, join us. Join us online. Go online and register as an online participant. This is exciting. This is big time. This is grand. We're not going to see this on this part again. So please, come and join us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, and happy Independence, Bahamas, and to the United States.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We always like to end our show by entreating you or admonishing you. Do not allow your greatness to become a victim of your unwillingness to change. We had a wonderful conversation, and all that is left to say is walk good,